This post is nearing 200,000 impressions and over 620 comments, which is a big deal for me on LinkedIn. And I wanted to bring out some insights from some of the trends that I saw in my comment section on this post. But before we dive into this episode and go through what we can learn from the comment section of the post and even see the post to begin with, because I haven't shown it to you, gasp, please, like, subscribe, hit the alarm bell thing, depending on where you are listening to this. It really goes a long way in helping people actually find and see this podcast, and that's really what I'm here to do. I'm not here to talk into the void. I'm here to help people and hopefully give people a new and helpful perspective about their style. Because, on this podcast, this is the I Help Men Dress Better podcast. And my goal here is to help you be seen and remembered. And that's not just by other people, that's by you as well, to be able to actually see yourself and remember who you are through the lens of style. So without further ado, let's look at the post in question. And then I'm not going to go through the comment section per se, but I am going to bring out some of the themes that I saw crop up over and over again across multiple comments. And of course, you can go to the post and read the comments yourself. They're definitely entertaining. They're definitely a good time. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly, and we will check out what the post actually was. Let's go. Okay, I believe we are about to see it. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Beautiful, stunning, magnificent. Okay, so as you can see, it is this lovely picture of the very epic Alex Hormozi. Honestly, all the respect for the guy. I think a lot of people in the comments assumed that I was ragging on him or tearing him down, but I like Alex a lot. I've read his books. I have learned a lot from him. I really enjoy his opinion on business. And I think probably one of my favorite interviews of his was on Diary of a CEO. I feel like he really opened up and told a side of his story that I hadn't heard before, and I really respected him for that. So I'm a big fan of Alex's, but I did post this picture, and the caption here is, "What does this outfit communicate to you? What do you think about Alex Hormozi's style? Is he intentional?" Questions. And then this is just my little hook disclaimer. If you think that what you wear doesn't mean anything, I'm not for you. And if you understand the power of style and you're interested in harnessing it, follow me. That's my call to action for the post. Pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy. But the comments went absolutely nuts. A number of people just commenting on his legs. A number of people essentially accusing me of hating Alex and being a judgmental jerk. And a lot of other themes cropped up. So we're gonna get back. We're gonna stop sharing this. We're gonna unshare it. We're gonna get back to just our regular programming. Now you've seen the post in question. Let's go through some of the themes that I saw come up in the comment section and some of my thoughts about these themes. The first theme that I saw was pleasing versus pleasant, and I made a whole podcast about this, but the high level is that people take one of two approaches to style most of the time. They're either full on people pleasing and they're dressing in order to impress other people, or they go full blown antisocial and they dress only for themselves in a way that is more selfish and non-contributive. So it's almost like they dress nicely for other people, or they dress like garbage because that's how they want to dress, and there isn't a middle ground. And what I believe is that there is a middle ground called pleasant, where you are intentional about how you dress. You dress in a way that has an aesthetic quality that makes you look nice. It doesn't have to make you look nice to everyone. Not everyone has to agree that you look nice, but that you should be taking the time to look your best in a way that you enjoy, but that is also pleasant for other people. Because while you are, of course, an individual, you are also someone that other people experience. And the same way that you would not that you would not want your house to be a pigsty, or that you would not want to eat in a restaurant that was disgusting, you have to understand that you as a person are an experience. People are experiencing you, and a little bit of being pleasant is not encroaching upon your individuality unless you are like a full-on psychopath. So that was theme number one, pleasing versus pleasant. That definitely cropped up a lot in many different ways. People said that in a number of different ways. The other one was looking like you don't care. And I thought this one was really interesting because I think that this is one of the reasons why I chose Alex. So Alex is incredibly intentional in crafting this image. He is not he is not someone who actually doesn't care. All of his clothing in this image fits, and the proportions are actually pretty interesting. He does a few things right, keeping everything very neutral. And while a look like this is sort of drawn from a certain type of look that I think we would associate with kind of a more not caring guy, the way that Alex does it, it's very clear that he cares. And if it wasn't clear enough just from the way that he's put it together, it's also very clear if you watch interviews with him, he talks about just how many pairs of shoes and how many pairs of shorts, every single piece in his wardrobe. He's spent months and months and months and months testing different products to find the one that works the best for him. Now, his primary focus may not be the aesthetic quality of the clothing. So to call it style might confuse some people, but he is carefully tailoring his look. He's carefully tailoring his appearance to directly positively affect his goals. So just because his goals are not what you think his goals should be, does not mean that that isn't style, even if it doesn't look good. I don't think that it looking good to everyone is a prerequisite for style all the time. I think it is a lot of the time, but there are certain cases where it's more about your goal orientation. And of course that's individual to individual. And if that's right for you, be intentional about it. That's what's the most important. I mean, the guy tried 60 different pairs of shoes before he settled on Crocs, and then he ended up switching to, now he wears sandals most of the time. So yeah, very intentional. So as much as you might think he looks like he doesn't care, he cares an incredible amount. I got this comment: masculine men don't focus on fashion. Also just hilarious farce. I mean, historically, men's appearance has been very, very reflective of their place in society and their roles. And while I know in America that's kind of hard to think about because we are very, very freedom focused, and we're like, oh, your roles, and you can't put me in a box. But at the end of the day, a big part of your identity is going to be your roles. There's, of course, the parts of you that are intrinsic to you, but your choices in life, so, the career that you choose, the partner that you choose, whether or not you choose a partner, whether or not you choose to have children, those are pieces of your identity, right? Lawyer, dad, like whatever your hobbies are, the things that you care about, your values, those are pieces of your identity. And historically, roles were much more rigid and everybody dressed for them. But even today, it's still just as important to be able to express your identity and your roles in a way that respects them and respects you and respects everything you've worked for and everything you've worked to accomplish. That hasn't gone away. I think what's gone away is clear language. In the past, we had a very, very clear language for everything. We knew exactly what each profession was meant to look like. And today, I think the professions are so different, and also the landscape of what they look like is so different that people really have a hard time figuring out, where they want to be because they have this freedom, right? It's that curse of choice. A lot of people mention that he doesn't skip leg day, and they lots and lot like probably 90%. 90% of the comments were about his calves or his legs. What I take out of that is that the reason why this look works for Alex Hormozi, the reason why he can dress the way he dresses, is because he has so much else going for him. So a lot of people will look to him and say, oh, well, Alex Hormozi is successful and he dresses like this. Therefore, the way that I dress doesn't matter. But most people do not look like Alex Hormozi, right? They're not that handsome. They don't have a great beard and great hair. They're not jacked, like insanely muscular. Like the guy looks like the archetype for maleness. Like he looks like peak male, and he's obscenely rich, right? Like he's smart. He does an incredible amount of good. There is so much going for him that the contrast of his look against that actually creates intrigue. So this is an artistic principle. This is something that I teach in style, is creating contrast. If he didn't have contrast, like if he was actually a bum and he dressed like a bum, there would be no contrast, there would be no intrigue. He would just be a bum and people would ignore him and move on. Because he has so much going for him, because he's created so much social capital, so much professional capital, because of his appearance, the contrast of the ugly clothing, or what most people would consider ugly, or what most people can't really process and appreciate, that contrast works because of everything else. So that, I think, is an important point. Even if it was, I think, his physique alone, even if he didn't have everything else going for him, his physique alone changes the context of clothing on him. Now, I don't think that having a great physique is a reason to dress bad, but I do think that it is very different than somebody who does not have a good physique or somebody who does not have money in the bank, right? It's not creating that contrast because it is just reinforcing the truth. It's reinforcing what's actually going on. So if somebody was like, "Oh, you're a bum," they wouldn't be wrong. Not to pass judgment on anyone. That wasn't my point there. Which was another thing that came up a lot in the comments, was this like assumption that I'm just hateful and judgmental and I'm just trying to come after everyone and say that if you dress poorly, you're a bad person, which is completely the opposite of my entire approach. Yeah, it's just hysterical. I think hopefully anyone who's listened to this podcast or actually read my less viral posts, because like it's kind of rage baity, it's kind of viral. It's not my pure opinion. It's not even my opinion. It's a question. But anyone who's actually read some of my posts, some of the ones that I actually care about, they would hopefully be able to see that that is so not my approach. And yeah, definitely anyone who's ever spoken to me one-on-one, because that's hilarious. A number of people pointed out that this is marketing, which I think, yeah, thank you. Thank you for waking up and seeing the Matrix for what it is. Of course, the way that Alex Hormozi presents himself, and that goes back to the point I was making about contrast, and the point that I was making about it serving his goals. He can dress like this on the internet because it works in his favor as rage bait because of that contrast. The internet's kind of changed the landscape of fashion because it's such a visual medium, and because it's so emotionally driven. It is more important that you can get an emotional reaction and fill your comment section than actually saying something worthwhile. So while Alex absolutely makes incredible content, I think he does this really well in that he's strategic, that he is able to inject rage bait in order to hook people and then hopefully keep them long enough to actually learn something real from him, but also be able to fill his comment sections to spread what he's trying to say to more and more people. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. I, I'm nearing I'm basically just past the 15-minute mark, which is around the length I like to keep these episodes. I like to keep them definitely under 20 minutes. So I am going to close out. I do have more. Maybe I'll make another episode about this, but you'll have to let me know if you want that. Until next week, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you were able to take away some more of these psychological and philosophical concepts surrounding style. I don't talk as much about the, wear this specific thing or do this specific thing. I definitely do that with my clients, but that's more tailored to them. So if that's something you're interested in, check out my LinkedIn and reach out to me and we could figure out how we can work together. But I'm much more interested in the social and the psychological and the philosophical side of style, because I think that that is where real style growth happens and more clarity in what style actually is and how to build it in your own life actually happens. So if you like this episode, if you like past episodes, if you don't like this episode, you know what? Whatever. You just hit like, subscribe, ring the bell. It doesn't matter how you feel about this episode. Just do the thing. Click the blah blah blah, and hopefully, God willing, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I know there are so many other ways that you could have been spending your time, and I really appreciate that you spent your time listening to me here. And if you liked it, yeah, send it to a friend. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week.